to the Chiss Ascendancy podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to
the Chiss Ascendancy.
It's episode 97, and today, the old 9/7, the old September 7th. Today we are celebrating. That's right. Today we are going to be talking a little bit about a specific episode or a specific issue of the mainline Star Wars comic starting the 2020 series, because today is Samuel's birthday, and so
it is.
We were kind of figuring out, hey, what do we want to talk about? You know,
Jeez, it's all backwards. Got a little ahead of herself with the the birthday decorations. She's so sweet. That's cool. She let everyone know that she was worried about the old 2-8. We made it.
The old 2-8. What was she worried about?
Oh, she was like, "Hey, do you have any important work calls tomorrow?" Little did she realize that we were recording tonight.
That's awesome. And we're actually recording 2 episodes in one go because we're going to do a short. We're doing an episode specifically for you for your birthday to chat and kind of be a little bit more silly and not as crazy, not as serious. And then we're doing an episode focusing on part 4 of Ahsoka review. And so it's going to be in 2 of them. And you got a present.
I did. Josiah made me the proud new owner of this lovely hardback edition of From a Certain Point of View for the Return of Jedi 40 years anniversary. Our wonderful friend Mark Thompson narrates a handful of the stories, so I'm excited to both read it and get into the audiobook edition.
Yep. Have you started it at all?
I have not, because I am a work drone and burnt out.
I'm about 3 or 4 stories in. I've listened to a couple of reviews, just like Blast Points did a really cool review where they went over all 40 stories in 2 minutes or less.
Wow.
And so it's not all 40 in 2 minutes, but 2 minutes each.
No, I get it. No, I was just, it wasn't about the fact that they did a story in under 2 minutes, it's that they did 40 of them. That's the
right. Yeah.
That's the
It's
wow
about an hour and a half, which is really impressive. And they didn't rate it or anything. They were just like, hey, let's talk about how we felt about it for 2 minutes. So it doesn't have to be like a really intense review. They just talked about how they liked it, didn't like it, different stuff like that, which was nice because I wanted to listen to them because I just love their show. And so I wanted to get their thoughts on it.
A listener for a long time for them.
Yeah. I've been a Blaster Point. I don't know what you would call those. I guess technically they call it the Blast Points Army. I'm a Patreon supporter actually as well. So like whenever they come out with stuff, they'll do stuff specifically reviewing episodes of shows and stuff that doesn't go on the main page that I'll listen to as well. But yeah, I wanted to listen to their review because I like their Star Wars thoughts. They're much more positive and much more on the silly side of things, kind of like, not the same, but similar to us where, so like there's a bunch of pilot stuff because obviously you have this huge space battle and they're like, so this one's another space one. And then, but they couldn't get enough of the Ewoks, which is like right up my alley as well.
That's really funny.
So to celebrate Samuel's 28th birthday, we decided we had to go with something having to do with 28. So was it the 28th episode of Clone Wars? Was it the 28th episode of Rebels? Was it the 28th Darth Vader? So we ended up going with
that would have been
the 28th. That one looked really cool, but I'm pretty much caught up on that series, so there's a lot of backstory. I think this one actually is a better standalone.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a very self-contained story. It feels a lot like before we get too into it, a little bit like a Rebels episode, very in a box.
Yeah, you get pretty much a whole storyline. So we went with issue 28 of, like I said, the mainline Star Wars Marvel Comics line, the 2020 series. So we're in part 28 of that. And this one's called The Calculus of Loss. This one has a really sweet front cover as well.
Yeah, very cool front cover featuring the yellow lightsaber that earlier in the series. So this takes place between episodes 5 and 6. once we start discussing it, we'll find out the story is basically Luke doing an undercover mission,
Right.
to get a little reconnaissance on some Imperial defectors that are also Crimson Dawn double agents. So pretty interesting lineup there. I thought it was also kind of cool and relevant because we're deep in the Ahsoka trap, and it features Hera Syndulla, who's one of the premier characters. So yeah, I think it's a pretty neat little story.
Yeah, it was a good little tie-in to have Hera there as well. And Hera did more in this one comic than she's done 4 episodes in Ahsoka so far. But you're piloting the ship this week, my friend. So give me your lowdown, and I'm just gonna. I feel like I typically, I'm the cart driver. So
you know what I feel like right now?
Your birthday, your show.
You know what I feel like?
What's that?
That beginning of Three Musketeers, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, where the turtle gets thrust in the spotlight, and instead of having the actual Three Musketeers book, he's got the comic book.
That's awesome. Mr. Narrator. Yeah. Miss you this time. If you're listening or watching this, songs, and you have not watched the animated Mickey, Donald, and Goofy version of Three Musketeers.
I'm not saying just stop this episode right now, but I am saying do pause it and then watch the Three Musketeers, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. It's only an hour 15. It's a very short movie comparatively speaking. Yep. And then come back. Don't leave us hanging. But that is a great film.
There's some great one-liners in there.
That movie has withstood the test of time, much like Atlantis, which I also love. I was just cleaning the kitchen like last weekend, and I had that on in the background.
It would have been funny if we just episode 97 of Chiss Ascendancy was an Atlantis review for your birthday.
Well, I don't know. While we're talking about it, what's your favorite line from Atlantis? Your favorite little standalone?
Obviously, you have disturbed the dirt.
You have disturbed the dirt. I think I'm gonna have to go with when he's like, just general office supplies. Staples, nitroglycerin, paper clips, big ones. Just general office supplies. I think that guy's my favorite.
Is the line? You got your 4 main food groups: beans, bacon, whiskey, and lard. Is that in that one as well?
Yeah,
That's a really good one.
That is a good one. Oh, it's a great film.
That movie is one of the times that. When IMDb first became available, that I realized that not all hot animated characters have hot voice actresses. Exotic underwater sea princess doesn't line up with the voice actress, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness, that's really funny. That's kind of like the voice actress for Katara from. Avatar: The Last Airbender is the lesbian girlfriend actress from Scott Pilgrim Against the World. I'm
unfamiliar, but
you've never seen Scott Pilgrim? Good Lord, great movie. Also, actually, double tie-in. The leading lady is Ewan McGregor's new wife, who also plays Hera Syndulla. So,
oh really?
Extra tie-in.
Without going into a full Ahsoka review, what is your take on Hera so far in the show?
I think
because I have a buddy at work that can't stand her. Can't stand him.
Wow, all the movie references. If you didn't get that one, that is Singing in the Rain, the 1940s classic. When was that movie made?
Keep talking.
That was like one of the first color films. It was so old that it was still relevant. 1952. That film is so old. While that film was being made, it was still relevant that people were recording the audio separate from the video because they couldn't do both at the same time. So they had one lady who was the actual voice of the character, and then one lady who had a dreadful voice but was a Hollywood sensation. No one knew, obviously, that she had nails on chalkboard voice, and that is the premise of that is the premise of that film.
Lena Lamont. Yep.
Yeah. Great film. Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously. I don't know why I've remembered that since I was 4, maybe.
As Moses supposes his toes to be.
Moses.
Yeah, one of the great American films of all time.
That's a at home classic.
Remember when he starts as a stunt double, and he's like, "All right, Johnny, here's what he gets it right on the jaw." And for some reason, like actual stuntmen were getting knocked out with a simple fake punch, and then what's that cat's name comes in and saves the day. Yeah. Obviously, the best character in that whole show, though, is the
supporting character. Yeah, he's the standout there for sure. Make them laugh.
In the rain.
Man, now I got to revisit that. A lot of the finer details of that video or that film are lost on my memory.
Song by Donald O'Connor. I can't remember the guy's name though.
No, I can't either.
Cosmo Brown, right?
Cosmo, yeah, that's the one.
Man,
wowzers.
Speaking of,
and you can't talk about at-home classics without talking about Fiddler on the Roof. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, Fiddler on the Roof. Fiddler on the Roof would make a great basis for a certain point of view story. If you could take Fiddler on the Roof, Tevye, and just kind of like...
If you could shoehorn him into Star Wars somehow?
Yeah, just like take Tevye. If I were this man,
I would like to see him replace the little stable boy from
The Last Jedi?
Episode 8. Yeah, from The Last Jedi.
Dude,
and you just see him like sweeping up singing that song.
Yeah, it would be cool if we edit it and then it shows the starship taking off, and then instead of the little broom boy like looking off like this, it's Tevye doing a little shimmy, like walking across. Like just cut him out of his movie and just put it over the overlay so the ship goes.
If you're a capable video editor at all, please do this for me.
That's awesome.
Please put Reb Tevye in The Last Jedi.
If you please, Reb Tevye, pardon me, Reb Tevye.
You want to know a fact about me? Is that I had edited out the audio of that song when they're singing the number To Life. And the Russians interrupt, and that guy's like, yeah. I took that audio and I made that my text tone, and I left my phone on loud.
It's like where he holds that note for forever before he goes, oh.
Give me a second. I've still got it. I left my phone on loud on purpose to piss off my friends. We were playing Warzone, the first one, back in like 2020. And I think about 4 text messages into this round, my friend Tim goes, okay, that's enough of that. he was very upset. Okay, I'm just far away from the mic because it is loud as I'll be. So that was
gosh.
Yeah, that was something that I did. I thought that was the funniest thing.
Oh, that's awesome. Speaking of classics, at the dealership today where I work, American Pie came on. And
did you tell everyone the story about Mom? That's where my mind goes about how Mom slaughtered that song.
No,
not in the good way, like Slay Queen, the way in which only mothers can ruin something.
Okay, remind me, because I don't remember this at all.
We're
15 minutes into the show.
This is, in the part of the song where he goes, "This will be the day that I die." The one and only hook from the entire 9-minute song. It feels like, and instead of saying "This will be the day that I die," my mom would manage to, and this is a woman that didn't care for rap very much, managed to say all in that little span of time, "I will live and not die and declare the works of the Lord." And I'm like, Mom, please, for the sake of me, it's just a song. It's just a song. If Mom could see herself
embarrassed 20 years later
in the context of that guy, that's like everything that you sing manifests also. So just think about that. All I can think about is that guy. Regular nipples. Normal size nipples.
Nipples the size of everyone's. I identify with that deeply.
Oh yeah. So.
Oh man.
I think about Mom.
Birthday. We got up there somewhere. Okay.
We came here to talk about something. And it was Star Wars 2020 Open Ending Series, issue number 28, The Calculus of Loss. Did I do that off the dome? Is that all accurate?
Yep, that's correct.
Wonderful. Okay. So it starts with a family. There's kind of if you're unfamiliar with this series, they do a sort of Star Wars crawl and static, kind of a little briefing on what this comic edition is going to be about. And we have Luke is kind of in the opening scene with Hera in a briefing room and two people that you'll never see again. And the premise of it is there is a married couple with two children that escaped from the first Death Star on a shuttle. After that, they decided that this is enough of this, and they I hope that you have done what I asked, because I'm going to make another Mickey, Donald, and Goofy reference. They've done as Donald did, and they've taken off their Three Musketeers uniform, and they put on their little sailor uniform, and they've, vamoosed away. And they're trying to defect, but they're so ineffective at defecting that nobody actually believes them. I think that is unintentionally the funniest part of the comic for me.
Yeah,
is that they're really wanting to give good information, but nobody believes them. And so Luke feels this nudge through the Force, and because he's with Hera, Hera's like, "Oh, you sound like Kanan." And then she's all goo goo eyes for Kanan still, so they get Luke's little inference. There's another little joke. He's wearing an officer's uniform in all black, and somebody's like, "Oh, you look good in black," which is obviously a foreshadowing to his all black outfit in Jedi.
right.
But Luke is now on an undercover mission. This family has crash landed, on Coruscant, which is the Imperial City.
Yeah. Which what was so funny to me was they're like, so they've got intel, and he's like, "Do you believe them?" And they're like, "No." And they're like, "Well, they're on Coruscant." And Luke goes, "I'm going to go talk to him." And he's like, "You can't go there. That's where the Emperor is." And they're like, "But you said he's not there." And he's like, "Yeah, the Emperor and Vader are both on his shuttle somewhere." And I was like,
somewhere in the mid rim. That's on lock.
Red flag anyone? Like, the Emperor doesn't go anywhere for anything. But I just thought it was funny that they didn't believe these guys. Flags here. Yeah, red flag. Yeah,
can't see anything terrible about to happen without your red flags.
It was just so funny that they were like, and these idiots, these dopes over here, they say something big's going on with the Empire. Can you believe that? The Empire hasn't done anything since the Death Star.
Yeah.
They're wiping out billions of people at a time, and these guys over here say they're up to something no good.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so ridiculous.
The dialogue.
The two most powerful people in the whole galaxy are just away somewhere, and nobody knows where they are.
Yeah, I feel like that's a little bit of a cautionary tale for me, I would think. But so the dialogue does leave a little bit to be desired. And I think the biggest bugaboo about this issue in general is it directly conflicts with the opening crawl for Return of the Jedi, where it says, "Unbeknownst to Luke Skywalker, the Death Star is being reconstructed." So either the guy that wrote that up is a moron, and Luke knew something that we didn't know he knew. I even verified it. I went and rewatched it. Yeah, I went to get the edge off there. So yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to rectify that particular little wrinkle in space and time. But maybe they'll shoe in
oh my gosh, you're right.
a nice little world between worlds action and erase his memory somehow. I don't know.
So I guess, maybe this comic is so close to episode 6 that they're simultaneous.
I would feel that way if Luke hadn't already reconstructed his lightsaber and was on his way to rescue Han before he knew of the Death Star's reconstruction.
Little does Luke know that the Galactic Empire has secretly begun construction on a new armored space station, even more powerful than the first dreaded Death Star.
Yeah, so this they will against that Death Star.
Last longer than they would against that Death Star.
That thing's operational.
Dude, I hope...
you sound like Jerry from... Do you watch Disenchantment?
No.
They've got a character, his name's Jerry, but he's like, Joey! This is how he says his own name. I love that guy.
I don't know why, but I remind myself of David Mata in that voice. But
you sound like... Anyway, enough for those guys.
the frick, what was I going to say?
I don't
Anyways, in certain point of view, the audiobook,
know. Mhm.
there's a story on there. Let me look it up. But yeah, a certain point of view, the new one, Return of the Jedi. There's a story in there. I think it's about Max Rebo.
Okay.
Let me find it. Stories. Here we go.
Is it the key to remembering? That seems like something, or Fancy Man,
No.
perhaps.
Fancy Man, I think it is.
Key to remembering sounds like a nice musical pun, but I don't know if that's
The
what
key
they
to
intended.
remembering is about EV-99. It's about a droid.
Yeah, Fancy Man's about Rebo.
So the guy reading that is John something Elias Reyes.
Stamos?
You remember that guy?
Yeah.
But he's reading, and it sounds like he's trying to read in Lando's voice.
I think he's trying to read like he's got a tube sock surgically attached to the front of his face.
So he's like, in the frickin' Oregon, who's going to play that? I don't know. Like, I don't know. It was funny. It was fun, but it was also a little bit distracting because I was like, is this guy trying to be Lando from Rebels?
Or more like
Remember
Lando's
Lando?
robot.
Oh, that's what I meant. Hey, Lando ain't Lando went out for some 40s.
Yeah,
Lando prefers Cobra from the corner store.
that robot was on one.
Yeah,
I don't know why I
dude.
keep calling them robots. I know they're called droids. Don't come after me. But yeah,
Lando smoke Swisher Sweets.
issue 28 comes to a very nice resolution fairly quickly. It's a very short issue, I feel. But one very cool little inclusion is close up on Luke Skywalker's saber hilt between him having lost his hand and father's lightsaber at the end of Empire, and having instructed his own lightsaber and completing his training in Return of the Jedi.
Right.
And we see it up close we don't actually see him use it in the issue, but on the cover of the issue, you can see that the blade is yellow. If you only read this one, you wouldn't know that this lightsaber hilt comes from a Jedi outpost that Luke visits sometime after Empire. And it is a damaged Jedi Guardian saber pike. So it would normally have two blades, but he's repaired it to make it a one-handed blade. So pretty cool little thing. I've always had a fascination with those Jedi Temple Guard saber staffs. I always thought those were super cool.
Yeah, me too. Especially in Rebels, whenever Kanan's having a vision of the Grand Inquisitor when he was still a Jedi Temple Guard, and it's folded like a nunchuck. Remember that?
Freaking cool.
He's got the mask on. He's like, and if he continues to obsess with it, it will consume him, or whatever. And he does that. Yeah. That's a freaking cool. I made a GIF of it one time. I was so excited about it.
Yeah, that is cool.
But that is pretty cool. I agree. I thought the little jokes about Luke wearing all black were silly and stuff. Mm-hmm. Something that stood out to me that was kind of cool was when this family is running through the tunnels under Coruscant. They run into a Coruscant, they call it a corridor ghoul. And it's actually pretty cool because there used to be a thing called a Chthon back in Legends. And these were like subhumanoid species that were really, they were like almost like cavemen, but they were basically albino. Let's see. How can I do this? Okay. Share screen. Share my freaking screen. I'll pull it up here. Chrome tab. Cancel. Let's see. I'll do a little.
It reminded me vaguely of some of the creatures that you'll see in Borderlands 2, is what it kind of reminded me of. You didn't never play those games, I don't think.
Do you see this?
Yes.
Are you seeing what I'm looking at?
Yeah, I am.
So, these little guys, this guy here, kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah,
because the
looks like somebody else thought of it too.
Yeah, the corridor ghoul is just like a white, almost like a dog,
Hmm.
but the Chthons are more humanoid.
Right. Yeah,
And
pretty
according to
cool.
Wikipedia, also known as, well, jump down on me, troglodytes, which isn't that a real world word
Yeah,
as
that
well?
is.
It's like a caveman.
Yeah.
We're a semi-sentient humanoid species named to Coruscant, living in the lowest levels of Coruscant underworld. Visually, Chthons resemble decaying corpses with loose flaps of flesh, stringy, dirty hair, and a lipless mouth. Yuck. Look at this. Their ancestors were humans who were banished from the surface for their crimes, subsequently residing in the darkness of Undercity for thousands of years, which genetically changed them into terrifying creatures that became subject of countless horror stories and nightmares. Where are these guys
Are
from?
these
They're in
the
the Old
creatures?
Republic.
There's a book. It's Legends now. Shadowhunter, Darth Maul Shadowhunter. There's
Yes.
like a mole people species. Is that what it's from?
Yep. Good
Okay.
call. Appearances, if you're looking at our screen, Darth Maul Shadowhunter. First identified as a Chthon.
Yeah, you have that up on a different screen. The Wikipedia article.
Oh, you can't see it?
Nope, I can just see
Oh,
the
you can
Google
see the
search.
pictures I'm looking at. I see, I
Yep.
see. But isn't that interesting?
Hmm.
And then if we go to ghouls, I wonder if it'll say anything. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so
Yeah, it's
what
just
if
on the
I share
one
this
tab,
tab
I think.
instead?
There you go.
Now you can see corridor ghoul.
Hmm.
Creatures that live in the sewers. It says they must be pretty new.
Yeah, I think they might be unique. Yeah, just in that one appearance
Yeah,
there. Yeah,
first appearance.
but it's
But
kind
I
of cool
would
for them to
get,
tie that back in. Maybe
yeah.
that idea.
You know what? I would love to reach out to Charles Sewell, who wrote this. He's one of my favorite guys.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
I would love to reach out to him and see if did he take inspiration from them. But it was pretty
You
cool
kind
to
of
have
have
a
to.
story. It would be pretty cool to have a story of how the plans came to pass, or
Yeah.
how they were discovered. I just don't see a world where I don't know. I don't see a world where more people wouldn't know about something like that. And another thing that's really interesting is, and we'll get into this a little bit deeper once we finish certain point of view, probably a little few weeks down the road. But um, in that first book, in that first story, it's about the Moff Jerjerrod that Vader visits at the very beginning. The one that he says, "The Emperor is not as forgiving as I am." That guy, he is it's interesting because you kind of see him as a schmuck just because of how the story goes, But in the short story, you realize that he is doing his best, and he really is. He's like, look, it took them, 20 plus years or whatever, not 20 plus, but 20 years to build the Death Star the first time. And it's been, 3 or 4 years since then. And we're pretty much on this breakneck pace. And he kind of realizes, and this was a cool, Jason and Gabe from Blast Points pointed this out as well. But something that I kind of picked up, which I really liked, that first story was really, really good. And I realized he comes to the conclusion of the Emperor is putting so much pressure because he needs it to get out that they're trying, but it's not going to be ready in time. And he puts two and two together after a conversation with Vader, and he comes to the conclusion of it doesn't need to be finished. It actually needs to not be finished in order for it to play into the Emperor's plans against the rebellion, but the laser needs to be finished. And so Vader, without telling him, is basically leans in as I would get done what the Emperor wants to get done. And he realized, which took my respect for Sheev to a whole new level, because the conversation was he doesn't need it done. He needs it operational. And actually, it's okay that it's not done because that makes it look like it's limping along in its process, which makes it, quote unquote, vulnerable, even though it's extremely deadly already.
I'm afraid this battle station will be quite operational by the time your friends arrive.
By the time your friends arrive.
I think one of the funniest things to come out of Family Guy is that scene where they're redoing that, and they've got Carter Pewter Schmidt, and he's like, constantly like cranking to like 40 degrees to his side when he's like mocking him saying it. Oh, that cracks me up every single time.
It's also
He's
cool in
obviously being a little jerk about it.
right. It's also really cool to see the Coruscant police again.
Yeah, that was cool.
I like their little get ups are really neat.
Yeah,
didn't they used to be droids back in the day?
If back in the day you mean like in the Clone Wars era, yeah,
right?
Because they were on their little motorcycles.
Yeah.
And then they had that one fat dude that was kind of the inspector.
I don't remember that guy.
Equally handsome, equally smart. He was in
What is that?
Oh, that's Kevin Malone being Ashton Kutcher. Or as he says, Kutcher. It was in the story arc where Padme's trying to do some reconnaissance on either a murder or an attempted murder.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the obviously ineffectual inspector. Pretty funny little addition, I think.
Equally handsome, equally smart. That's really funny. I guess they're officers. For some reason, I thought they were droids. I could be wrong. Coruscant Security Force.
All right, so it looks like his name is Tandivo. Tandivo was a human male police inspector in the Coruscant Security Force.
Yeah. I know you're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, by the end of this episode, it's cool because Luke uses the Force. They're surrounded by Coruscant police. They're dead to rights. And he uses the Force not to overcome the enemy, but to overcome the enemy with ghouls.
Yeah, it was a very Lothwolf kind of resolution.
Yeah, it was.
I wish we could have seen more of like stuff that was hinted at, like Luke obviously did a little bit of interrogation with some stormtroopers, and they had some sort of getaway in his arrival.
I agree.
Those things were kind of glossed over.
It would have been fun to see him undercover and doing his own thing, because that's some of the best comic stuff is when Luke's doing his own mission. Like there's actually an issue. I'll send it to you after this, but there's an issue just a few comics ago in the same line where he's just trying to get answers about like how to move forward, how to be a better Jedi and stuff. And he goes to a planet that absorbs the memory of a person, and that version of them is there forever.
Oh,
and
weird.
He talks to, so it's like almost like a holocron in a sense, but a planet, right? And he's journeying, he's trying to figure out what's going on, and he actually talks to High Republic Jedi Elzar Mann.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
I made a short on it, actually. I think.
Just sent you a link to an image of Tandivo, just in the chat. It shows the Coruscant police guards that are the droids in the background. I think that's what you're thinking of.
Yep, you're right. That's perfect. What a schmuck.
Yeah, that guy was very much the worst.
What a freaking schmuck.
Yeah. It always reminds me of, I think a lot about Sheev, Into the Bureaucrat, the true rulers of Coruscant.
The true rulers of the Republic.
Yeah.
Vote now. Vote now.
What is it? The Aqualish doing that?
Yeah.
It always sounds like they're trying to talk through a butt.
Butt mouths, yeah.
Like just try making noise without opening your mouth. That's what it sounds like. Not like you're starving for air. 30 minutes later, we're still making mouth noises. Oh, but yeah, no, I thought it was a neat little, obviously not the top performer, I think, of all the comics I've read, but It was
I
it was
do
a nice
think it
little
was
issue.
neat. It was neat that it had a self-contained story, which you made a really good point of.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
it feels very much like Rebels in that way, which I think is fitting because it includes a lot of Rebels themes, and also
right.
talked about Kira from Solo quite a bit, so that was pretty neat. So she's
Yeah,
still
if you're a
kicking
fan
somewhere between 5 and 6.
of if you're a fan of Kira or Solo: A Star Wars Story or Amelia Clark in general, the comics are really really good because actually Crimson Dawn has a really really big role to play um, in in the comics and stuff. So it's actually really really impressive what they're able to come up with.
Hmm.
Um, whenever I click on something by accident, can you hear it?
No, I
Okay, cool.
cannot. I cannot.
I just sent you a link to a story by Elzar and Luke.
Very cool.
So, but yeah, it was fun to just kind of jump in. I think something that we did a lot more of early on in our show is, hey, let's talk about a Jawa today. Hey, let's talk about Tuscans
Yeah.
today. Hey, let's something just or a random Clone Wars episode. And
Yeah.
the content that we're getting nowadays is a blessing, obviously, because it's more Star Wars than we've ever gotten.
Right.
At the same time, sometimes I feel like we were talking after our most recent episode, and it was like we're kind of taking ourselves too serious because we feel this obligation to, like,
Do your duty to your school.
do your duty to your school. We have like these 5 things we need to go over for this episode and all this kind of stuff. You
Yeah.
And so when we're kind of just shooting from the hip, not that we're not prepared, but just going in, hey, it's your 28th birthday. Here's a couple of options. Here's a 28th issue of a really good comic series.
Yeah.
And kind of jumping into that. I think that's more of our shtick in a lot of ways.
Stay true to me.
Yeah. But your 28th birthday, any big plans before we cut to the chase?
No. Well, kind of. I'm taking off work on Friday. Tori, my wife, and I are going to hang out, and then I'm going to a men's retreat with our church.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that'll be pretty fun. A little overnight thing, but I'm not in charge, and I didn't have to plan any of it. So that is a blessing for me to go anywhere.
A real treat, Governor. A real treat.
It's so rare for me to get to go somewhere not home and not have to have all the answers. So that's exciting for me.
That's cool. Awesome. Well, happy birthday, Bub.
Thank you.
All of you listening and watching out there in Star Wars Chiss Land, wish Samuel a happy birthday. 28, the big 2A. 2 more years till you're 3 decades old. That's wild.
Yeah. Yep.
But we will continue to celebrate. You have another cool little present coming your way tomorrow. I'm excited for you to get it. And so we'll be celebrating you. We'll post and everything. So even those who just follow on the page will see it's your B-Day. Maybe send you a little Cash App. Maybe I'll put your Cash App in the freaking story or something. But
put my home
happy
address,
birthday.
my social security number.
Here's the social
No,
security
I'm
number.
just joking.
But those tuning in, listening, if you're a comic fan, this is a nice little one-off. If you want to get into Star Wars literature and you're intimidated
comics
by
are the way to go,
books,
dude. There's so much
comics
great content.
There's
So
a ton
much
of great
great content.
and you're reading a few pages at a time.
Frickin' Heir of the Empire was put into graphic novel form. If you
and now you
we'll
can just
talk
get
about
it digitally for a couple of bucks.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about it a little bit because another Family Guy reference. Oh, they said it, Heir to the Empire. So I get a sense a lot of those themes might be being tied in here pretty shortly. So if you want to kind of get up to scratch, see what you're missing out on, Heir to the Empire has been put into graphic novel quite a while ago. But I think it's a great resource if you don't want to read the whole trilogy. It's a little, you get to see little illustrations and stuff that you don't get with the novels as well. So yeah, I think that's a great tool. But the comics in general, great resource.
Agreed. Yeah, comics are nice just because you can read as much as you want, and stop anytime and not feel like you're like if you're not somebody that wants to sit down and read a 300 or 400 page book over the course of a couple of days and that seems intimidating, then you can get little portions of the story in little tidbits without really missing the whole picture. And there's still legend stuff out there too. Like if you're a big fan of Jedi, or if you want to know, about like a guy that we talk about all the time, Quinlan Voss has some really, really his best material is in comics.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Dark Horse stuff.
And then the Legacy comics, those went on. They usually go on sale around Christmas. I think I got 20 issues for $100.
Yeah.
I think my dad gave me $100 for Christmas, and I spent them all on comics. And I was like, well, I'll just consider this my present from Dad.
Well, because what you
but
got
I mean,
is
thousands
not
of
just
pages.
not just 20 issues, like little 20-page whatever.
Right.
You're talking about 20 collections.
Correct.
So like, each of those is several hundred pages, and they were on
Correct.
sale for like $5 each or something crazy.
Yeah, I think they were
remember
like $4 or $5. So yeah,
And-
there's sales all the
and-
time.
Yeah, you can use Amazon to get the Marvel Comics app. Isn't a thing anymore, especially or at least on iPhone. But all of that stuff transferred over to Comixology or Kindle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so all great resources. I like to have my Kindle library because I can have it on my phone, my iPad, my computer, all pretty
Right.
easily.
Yeah,
But
it's available anywhere.
great
Check
resource.
it out. Like we said, this was Marvel Star Wars, the 2020 line, and this is issue number 28. And one more time, Samuel, what was the title of this?
The Calculus of
Calculus
Loss, I believe.
Of Loss. And the cover is really dope. It's Luke in
Very cool cover.
Stolen Imperial uniform with his yellow lightsaber.
Yeah.
So very cool stuff. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This has been episode 97 of the Chiss Ascendancy podcast, which is so cool because Samuel's birthday is September 7th. So
it just worked out that way.
Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, the Force will be with you always.
And also remember, the only family you have here is me.
We will see you guys next time. Coming soon with a review of Ahsoka Part 4. Stay tuned.